Hey everyone, Knux333 here, and today I am back with another video for you guys. Yes, I have been back on a roll and getting back on track in making videos, so I figure let's get into today's subject and talk about it. So today's subject is going to be one of my unscripted rambles or rants, because while I did originally want to label this a TGO rant, I'm not going to, for the sole sake, because it's not necessarily a rant, but more like a discussion. Not to mention, when I do rants, I will definitely try to get them more scripted and more balanced. They're not just going to be based off my head. This is more of a ramble based off my head, trying to keep it as organized as possible. But, let's just dive into it and talk about it. So as you can tell from the title of this video, this will be about the Pokemon anime. And the Pokemon anime has been something that I've been wanting to discuss for a while. First off, I have been criminally not talking about Pokemon on this channel. Pokemon has had a huge, hype for me this year. The 20th anniversary and all the things that it's doing have been amazing. We have Pokemon Go, which was a new experience in playing Pokemon, and it was quite fun, for me. We have Sun and Moon coming out, and the constant, piles of information that they've been throwing at us with non-stop breaks. It's like getting ridiculously crazy how hype Pokemon Sun and Moon is. And overall, Pokemon has just been extremely lit for me this year, and my love for it has returned full force, and it's been one of the biggest things that I've been talking about this year. But today I'm going to have to talk about a branch of the Pokemon anime that has really been questionable and really just hasn't been as hype and just feels like it's been lacking for me. And that branch is, of course, the Pokemon anime, which has been running for quite a long time. And normally I don't really talk about the Pokemon anime because, for those of you who don't know, the Pokemon anime is an interesting subject for me. So I guess starting at the beginning would be the most logical thing. So for me, the Pokemon anime was something that I never really looked into that deep. Most of my love came from the video games. And when it came to the first season, all the way back in Kanto, while I did peak some episodes, it was okay. It was amusing. While I didn't necessarily, have the time or never really caught it, it just never really caught my attention. And then around the Johto season, I definitely caught more eye of it, and it was something that really piqued my attention. Some episodes really just caught my nostalgia, and I especially have nostalgia for the Pokemon movies, which were just like a huge part of my childhood. So talking about that is just, really great. But what's interesting is one of the eras of the Pokemon anime that I was really invested in was my big Pokemon resurgence back in the 4th generation, which is the Diamond and Pearl era. And during that time, I was really, really into Pokemon Mania. I had bought Diamond at launch, and it became easily one of my favorite games of all time, although it was suppressed by Platinum. But Diamond was just a really good game. It took everything that I loved about Pokemon Red and Blue back at that time, and it just really stepped it up in a lot of ways. There are some things that people don't like about Gen 4, and I'll admit, it's not a perfect generation. It definitely has its flaws. But that was just a period where I was really invested in the games and in the anime. And with the Pokemon anime at the time, I liked it because there were some elements that were really good. Ash was a competent trainer. He's a competent trainer. Sorry, my pronunciation is bad today. He still had his, rough moments of, face palms, but he was a competent trainer. And I also like the side characters. Brock was still a pretty funny character, and Dawn was a character I really liked. And then Cynthia was in the anime too, who, if you know, is like one of my favorite Pokemon characters. So I was in love with the Sinnoh anime and the things that it did. But from there, once the Sinnoh anime came close to its end, it's from there where, in my opinion, a lot of the big flaws of the Pokemon anime started to show its face. So, the end of the Sinnoh saga was where a lot of the things about the Sinnoh saga were concluding. We had Dawn and the Grand Festival. We had, Ash going into the Sinnoh League. And there were just so many things about it that, I was excited about. And when it came to the Grand Festival, I was really hoping to see, Dawn succeed in her dream, because Dawn was a character I really wanted to see succeed. But unfortunately, Dawn ended up losing the Grand Festival to her rival. And at first that had me like, okay, well, that happened. That's sad. But, I had a great deal of confidence in Ash. Ash and his Sinnoh League battles were really great. He had the battle with Paul, and Paul was one of his major rivals throughout the Sinnoh Saga. And Paul, in my opinion, was just a well-written character. A lot of people say that he was a bad character because he just came off as, oh, I'm the, the stereotypical douche rival. I'm really mean and all that stuff. People don't like the mean-hearted rivals because they're just pretty stereotypical and edgy like that. But I feel like the rivals like Paul were good because they actually pushed inside of to beat them. You were supposed to hate them. You were supposed to not like them because of the way their character is built. And especially with Paul. Paul wasn't just the stereotypical douche rival. He had a lot of qualities about him that were really cool. And some of these qualities included, the build up with his brother, how he had that relationship with his brother. The reason why he felt like he wanted to get stronger, and the moments where he wasn't all that, like such as when he got destroyed by Cynthia. So in the end, seeing Ash able to overcome Paul and show that in the end his strategy was better, and that was the way he battled, showed Paul, why he needed to have respect for him. And that was the reason why I loved that battle. It was one of the best moments in the entire Sinnoh Saga, period. And things like that is what made the Sinnoh Saga overall great. And that's why I was really hoping that Ash taking the Sinnoh League would overall end the Sinnoh Saga off and give it such a good conclusive end to the Pokemon anime. Not necessarily end the anime, but take it in a very great direction. Unfortunately, what I didn't know was the anime curse. And the anime curse with the Pokemon anime is there are a lot of things that tend to happen towards the end of a season that kind of retcon things about characters. It started at the end of Johto. Now, Johto was interesting because it actually carried some continuity from previous season. Like with Kanto, he took some Kanto Pokemon with him. He still had a lot of the skills and things that he learned from Kanto. It felt like there was that continuity. Also, there were characters who still appeared throughout. But when we got to Hoenn, that was where it started to feel like a reboot. And it's like, okay, well, Hoenn was a little soft reboot, but we're here in Sinnoh now. May did make her appearance, and there were some things that carried over. We're here in Sinnoh. Ash can't possibly sink from where he has climbed. So he gets to the Final Four, I think, with Sinnoh, and he runs into this trainer with a Darkrai, and this Darkrai seems like a tough opponent. It's like, okay, well, he'll overcome this. I mean, he's Ash, right? The Darkrai proceeds to sweep for most of his team. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, he'll overcome the Darkrai. They're obviously building this because they want it to be a tough battle. Oh, well, it took most of his Pokemon to beat the Darkrai, and it wasn't until Sceptile that he was able to take it out. Okay. Well, surely his next Pokemon can't be as tough as Darkrai. Oh, Latios. He actually has a legendary. Another one. Okay. Well, oh, he lost. Yeah. And that was what made me like WTF right there. Like, what was the reason for Ash to lose? It was so well built how he was getting to the league, how he was getting to the finals. I figured that he would get there, take the win, and finally get to be the champion that he deserved to be. And I wasn't used to the logic of the anime curse yet, so this was a surprise to me at the time of watching. Why did Ash lose? Why did this guy with no character build-up, never was seen in any other episodes, and has a team of freaking legendaries come out of nowhere and take away what was so greatly built up? And on top of that, not only do we have Tobias sweeping Ash and taking away his Sinnoh League victory, we have Ash, kind of just saying goodbye to his friends and saying goodbye to everything that was in the Sinnoh logic. And that was kind of sad for me, I liked characters like Dawn and Cynthia and Rowan and all that stuff. And I liked the arcs that the Sinnoh Saga had to offer. So when it ended, I was just like, what is going on? This isn't fair, It just didn't feel like something I wanted to continue watching. But I did go on to the next season because I thought, you know what? I'll give the anime a chance. I'll go on past Diamond and Pearl and I'll see what the next season has to offer. And then we get to the Black and White Saga. Oh boy, where do I even begin with this saga? So with the Black and White Saga, it is without a doubt, unquestionably, one of the worst sagas for multiple reasons. For starters, the main reason that it is bad is Ash resets from being a competent trainer, a trainer who learned so much throughout the Sinnoh Saga, to going back to being like his old self. Like for starters, the Unova Saga, which is season 5, the Black and White Saga, opens with Ash being like, oh, 10-year-old Ash Ketchum. Am I like, this man is still 10? This man is still 10? Like, at the very least, he would be like 11 because there's even a special where Ash literally has an anniversary for the day he met Pikachu, which is the day he turned 10, which is his birthday. So you would think that he would at least be 11, that there would be at least some sort of concept of time within the world. So that was weird to me. On top of that, then we have, things getting weird with the Black and White Saga, such as Team Rocket flat out disappearing and getting serious and in these new black uniforms. And it's like, okay, well, there goes Team Rocket. They're gone. So there goes the comedy relief from them. And then we have Ash's new partners, who is Iris and Silent. Silent, I didn't really have a problem with. He's not really a bad character, but he just feels so boring in comparison to Brock. He lacked, as much of a great comic relief. And his moments that he had come off more as annoying than really funny or cool. And then we have Iris. Iris is a character I don't think is necessarily bad. I think Iris is pretty cool written in the games, but in the anime, Iris is so badly written. And the reason why is I think they tried to write her kind of like Misty. And the reason I say that is the Black and White Saga in general was meant to be a soft reboot and was written in a similar fashion as the Kanto Saga. So it had a lot of elements from the Kanto Saga, but it had a few twists in there to try and make it fresh. But unfortunately, it ended up coming off as more of just annoying and just a very badly written season. And at some point, I just completely dropped the Pokemon anime. Alright, so sorry that I ended up rambling longer about the past than the current topic, but that gets to the Kalos Saga and the big problems of why the past and both the Kalos Saga are the reason why the current anime has the problems that it does. So with the Kalos Saga started to bring a lot of people back slowly after the big tank nosedive that was the Unova Saga. And the reason why is we have, once again, well-written characters. We have a sense of continuity. And most importantly, we have a competent Ash. Ash is starting to learn from a lot of the mistakes he made throughout the Black and White Saga, and now he's starting to feel like a competent trainer again. He learns from his mistakes, and his Pokemon grow because of it. Which, by his Pokemon grow, they literally. Instead of having, a bunch of pre-Evo starters or Pokemon that are weird choices, he actually has a pretty good team. He has Pikachu, Talonflame, Noivern, Greninja, Goodra, and then there's another Pokemon I'm forgetting. Who am I forgetting? Oh my god. I feel so bad that I'm forgetting someone. Halucha, there we go. Yeah, we got Halucha. I'm so sorry, Halucha. But yeah, we got those 6 Pokemon, and they're all fully evolved. Pretty good Pokemon. So now we see Ash with these cool Pokemon. It's like, okay, I see you, and a Pokemon anime company, I see you. They're actually doing a good job. We also have the well-written characters like Serena and Clement and Bonnie, who at first I thought Bonnie was going to be basically Max 2.0. Max being May's little brother, and that she was going to be really annoying. But she actually gets really well written, especially when we get to XYZ. Now, XYZ is just really good. We have characters introduced like Alon, who is basically a assistant for Professor Sycamore who studies Mega Evolution and then goes and starts working with Lysandre, who he doesn't realize is the leader of Team Flare, and that Team Flare is an organization that wants to do nothing but bad for the world. So things just get really well written towards the end of the Kalos saga with the XYZ arc, and it's just really good. And it started to reel in a lot of people, especially with things such as Ash Greninja, the new mysterious form that Ash had with Greninja that makes him so powerful. Like, it's on some DBZ level stuff with how well Ash Greninja is handled. We also have basically the relationship between Serena and Ash. It's not just the bland friendship is power relationship. It's kind of Serena has this crush on Ash, and it's really built up throughout the series. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of changes here that are not only reminding me of the Sinnoh saga, but are reminding me of why I like the Pokemon anime. And there are a lot of good things that are written about the Kalos saga. I just need to get that out there. And animation, my boy, animation of the Kalos saga is completely clean and completely well done. And I have no problem with the animation whatsoever. Like, so overall, the Kalos saga was just taking nothing but A+ on everything it was doing. But then, towards the Kalos League, there was a big thing that people wanted to see. Now, the big thing that people were so tired of with Ash is his league losses. Kanto, Charizard didn't listen to him, he lost the league. Johto, Blaziken shows up out of nowhere and bodies his team, he lost the league. Hoenn, he lost to a freaking Meowth. Sinnoh, Tobias, who with the legendaries came through and swept his team. And Unova, which is by far his worst league performance, where this dude brought only 5 Pokemon and somehow managed to beat him. Like, my dude, I had so much enough of the Unova saga because of stuff like that. But people were speculating that this was the time. This was the time that Ash would finally come through and get a proper league victory. And the reason for this is he had a fully evolved team. His team was extremely powerful and just had a lot of interesting moves and smart choices behind them. And we see this with not only his past, but how he performs during the league. During the league, the different battles that he performs in, his Pokemon do phenomenal. We have Pikachu in a battle just taking down a Tyranitar and a Metagross. And previously, this is the same Pikachu that, despite 3 years of experience, 3 years being the 3 seasons, I don't know the actual time, but despite all that experience he had, would go on to get bodied by a Snivy. But now, continuity finally comes back, and we have Pikachu taking down Pokemon again, putting in work. Like, he feels like a Pikachu that has experience again. And I was like, okay, I'm back on board with this, because stuff is getting real again. Things are getting consistent again. I was so hyped, and I was on the camp thinking that Ash had a chance to win the league. And he did. He went to the finals with Alon, and we thought that this was it. Ash was finally going to win. Even the episode with the final battle was called Kalos Victory, Ash's greatest battle. So a lot of people thought that this was it. Ash was finally going to take home a league victory, and things in the anime would finally start being consistent, things would finally start going up, and nothing would go down. We were so wrong. We were so wrong. So, that day, when it came with the Japanese dub, at least, because of how good the Kalos saga is, a lot of people switched to the Japanese dub, which is definitely superior in a lot of ways. We all tuned in to that final battle between Alon and Ash, and it was a really good battle. We had Pikachu putting in work, we had all of his team putting in work, except for Noivern. Noivern just takes L's all the time. Ugh, Noivern. But anyway, besides that, most of his team was putting in mad work when it came to fighting Alon. And we thought that he was going to take this victory. And as a lot of people suspected, it came down to the final battle of Mega Charizard X to Ash Greninja. And it was looking very much in Ash Greninja's favor. Ash Greninja was taking barely any hits. Mega Charizard was taking major damage from not only previous fights, but Ash Greninja in general. And when it came to that final clash, the final moment, for no reason at all, it suddenly felt like the BS of the previous seasons came back and Ash Greninja lost to Mega Charizard X for no reason. Like, to this day, I still call BS on that because there's just no reason he should have lost. Like, for starters, again, he didn't take that many hints. So something was up. Something clearly was messed up. And to me, it literally made no sense why Greninja lost that match. There was just no reason. And not just no reason in terms of story-wise, no reason in terms of outside-wise. Because for starters, what was Game Freak or the Pokemon Company or whoever does the anime thinking? Like, making Ash lose another league and then having the audacity to put it out there and let fans see that after you see good and well the hype of him potentially winning the league? That is by far the stupidest decision I saw Pokemon make this year. Pokemon was on a roll and killing it, but when they made him lose the league for the, sixth time, bruh. Like, what were you thinking? There were so many people who came back to the anime because they thought he was going to win the league, because he thought that he had learned from his mistakes. And you proved to those people once again that it's the exact same cycle, it's the exact same BS. Ash will never change. There will always be something holding him back. And because of this, a lot of people left once again. And in my opinion, Game Freak should have taken advantage of that and had Ash win, had that continuously go on, and people would have came back. People would have gotten interested again. But for some stupid reason, they wanted to keep Ash on that leash and hold him back. So, with the Kalos League loss, it was without a doubt one of the worst things to happen to the Kalos anime, and it was a bad decision because it put a huge bad mark on the anime after so many people were getting back into it, thinking that Ash had learned and that he was going to win at last. But, to make up for the league loss, there was the Team Flare arc. Even though I was really agitated about Ash's loss, and for an amount of days I was really salty, the Team Flare arc was actually really, really good. And the reason I say this is just the Team Flare arc was handled really well. There were a lot of great battles, the animation was superb, the coloring was great, and that final episode, my boy, with the final fight, with all the Kalos gym leaders coming in, Zygarde just being a boss. It was just an amazing finale. And it proved that the XYZ anime and the Kalos anime overall still had that flair. It still had the amount of power and greatness that was in the beginning. It's just ever since that league loss, it just felt like something was wrong. Like, it felt like Ash was supposed to win, but something was clearly holding it back. And unfortunately, we might see that again. So the rest of this rant or is going to consist of, speculation, things that are in the far future that haven't happened yet as of this date. So for the sake of that, I'm going to put that warning here. But let me just say that right now things are not looking up for the Pokemon anime, and there are a number of reasons why. For starters, we have to have the goodbye with Clement and Bonnie, who, while I knew good and well that they were going to stay, gym leaders like him never really go on. It's just really sad to see characters like that go, because they were handled really well, and it's just going to be sad to see them go. But on top of that, one of the big things that people were hoping is that Serena would go with Ash, because Dawn didn't go with Ash, May didn't go with Ash, Misty went with Ash to Johto, but when it came to Hoenn, she was gone. So people were hoping that Serena would at least be another Misty and that he would go with Ash to one more region. But unfortunately, that might not be the case, because it is potentially possible that Serena is getting retconned, just like Dawn and May were. And wow, man, there were a lot of people who liked that relationship between Ash and Serena. I know they're done, because there's not much else to explain why that in itself is some BS. So now we're retconning flat out characters as if it was nothing, just like with the Sinnoh saga, just like what I felt at that time. We're getting characters retcon and no sense of continuity. And now we are having it's potentially possible we are having the competent Ash retconned again. And based on the rumors, based on what is potentially happening, it is possible that Ash Greninja is having his power taken away. We are losing the form of Ash Greninja forever, and we are never seeing it again. Really, my dude? Do I even need to explain why that's bad? Do I even need to explain why that's BS? But it gets even worse. Not only do they take away Ash Greninja, they take away Greninja. It is possible that Greninja will not only not lose his power, he not only lost the league, but it is possible that Ash Greninja in general, is not coming back. It is speculated that Ash is releasing Greninja and he is just not coming back. To that I have no words. No words. Like, when I saw that on social media, I was beyond words. Like, why would he... Realistically, why would you get rid of a character that was that powerful, that had that much influence? Why would you do that? You might as well just put the middle finger up for an entire episode while you're at it. Like, why would you rewrite a character out like that completely? Like, I know he has to go to the next region and he has to catch new Pokemon and he has to do new things, but at that point, you might as well just stop, because stuff like that is just unacceptable, man. You can't just reset everything like that and pretend that everything that happened previously didn't matter to people, that everything wasn't completely built off right, just for the sole sake of preparing him for the next region. And the next region is problem number 3 in terms of, I think I have it out of order there, but it's the next big problem in that the next season looks like a major downgrade. The animation looks really, really lackluster in comparison to XYZ. Not the art style. It's not the art style that's bad, even though I really don't like the art style. But it's not the art style that's bad. The art style looks decent in itself. But that animation, my dude, it just looks like a major downgrade to what XYZ tried to do with its animation and with its art styles. And it's just, why? Why would you do this to us at this point? It's not that necessarily I'm, super angry or super upset, but the main reason I'm doing this is because it's moves like these that are making people leave the anime, that are making Pokemon decline in its popularity. It's stuff like that that's really just adding all these negatives. And I hate to rant about the negatives, but stuff like this needs to be pointed out, because even though the Flare arc was good, even though certain arcs are good, no one wants to go through this reprocessing process again. What's the point of watching the anime if we know Ash is gonna go to the next region? He's gonna get the badges or something, or he's gonna have a female companion that's gonna replace the one that he currently has, that people are going to ship. He's going to, release all his Pokemon or put them in Oak's lab at the end of the season. What's the point if we know the format of an anime? See, watching all these newer and interesting animes that I have recently has made me even see the decline of the Pokemon anime even more now, because there's no consistency, no continuity, just stuff that just falls apart and has to rebuild. And even though that it's nice in the different ways that it is rebuilt, no one wants to keep seeing that, my dude. An example of how the anime is being done in a kind of interesting way right now is Pokemon Generations. We have interesting stories that are told. We have things that build off to each other, that lead to something that leads to an end. We have things that are built off in an interesting way. And most importantly, we have things that are consistent, such as the animation and stuff. That is the reason why things like Pokemon Origins, Pokemon Generations get a lot of praise, because it's a take on Pokemon that is much more appealing to people. No one wants to see Ash be incompetent. No one wants to see Ash get reset at the end of every season. It just is so annoying, and that's why I feel is a major problem with the Pokemon anime. Alright, well, I feel like I've rambled long enough about the Pokemon anime, what's good about it, what are the big problems about it, and stuff like that. Who knows, maybe some things could go entirely different with the direction, and this video could be made irrelevant. But as of now, those are my current thoughts on the Pokemon anime and what's going on with it. Personally, if you want to know what I want to see happen with it, when it comes to the core anime, right now, it is really disappointing me in the direction that it's going. And I'm not sure what I can suggest to fix its direction, especially since the path it's on right now seems to be pretty set. And when it comes to stuff like Generations Origins, stuff like that definitely needs to be made, because right now fans are craving for a more content adaptation for Pokemon, like when it comes to that. So turning stuff like Pokemon Generations and Pokemon Origins into full-fledged anime series would be the best idea, in counterpart with Ash's misadventures or whatever. Alright, so those have been my thoughts on that. Other than that, I think I've spoken long enough. This is Knux, and I'm out. Peace, guys.